Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a phenomenal day like myself. Always happy to see price action working the way that it should. And SUI is no exception. Honestly, it pumped a little harder than I expected, but it did come up to this level, that 217 resistance level, pretty much rejected perfectly off the descending trend line. Exactly why we respect the trend. And now we're back down to this 205 or sub 205 range. So the truth is, this coin's working and responding very well to Bitcoin sell-offs. In other words, it's working hard when it comes down, but it's also still kind of working within its trend. So until this trend is broken, we got to kind of presume it's going to continue. And if you just took offense to that, you may want to just go ahead and leave. Don't be a troll and just have an awesome day. Truth is, everyone that's with the exception of very seldom, very few people, I've gotten a lot of good feedback and a lot of folks from the SUI community, not only joining our Discord and our Twitter, Telegram, and all that, but they're just really super supportive and awesome, positive people. So I appreciate that. And again, future reference, if I ever tell you the price is going to go down, try not to take offense to it. It's really just me letting you know what the charts are telling us, because regardless of how awesome or amazing something is, it's not a reason to be blindly just buying a bunch of it. Don't get me wrong, that's okay if you're trying to add to your spot bag and all that. That's a different story altogether. And I recommend you do that with this coin. It's definitely, I think, a good long-term investment. But the truth is, it's going to have ebbs and flows, and those are kind of the things that I'm trying to focus on and help you understand. Because a lot of my traders trade with leverage. They're not spot traders per se, so just a heads up on that. Anyways, thanks again for watching. You want to learn a lot more, cryptocash.tech is a site link down below. SUI on the left-hand side, 7 days liquidation. We always look at liquidation first to get a baseline of where the manipulation is at. And manipulation is a huge part of trading, so if you're avoiding it altogether, you're kind of missing out. And what I can see here, and pretty obvious, we have a lot of liquidation on the upside, about 240, but that's been there for a while. It's been there for about 2 or 3 trading days. It's essentially the local high. And then we can also see here too as well, 195, that next area of liquidation. Solid chance we're going to see just a quick little wick down because we're close to that range. Now, 195 may not happen. It will only occur if Bitcoin pulls back sub 67,000, starts trending towards lower 66K range, which I think is still a possibility here. And just to kind of throw it out there, we are essentially range bound with Bitcoin right now. It is a bullish type of rectangle. So these are generally good signs, right? When the price comes up, works itself into a rectangle and breaks to the upside. It's doing that so far as we speak. It's also honoring its ascending trend. So when I say the price may drop, it's mainly just because Bitcoin's delta is way too high. We have too many long positions at this point, and market makers really like to make an example out of that. And with us having almost 9 billion in delta in the last 5 trading days, that leads me to believe we're going to see somewhat of a pullback, just to at the very least, sweep those longs. And if that happens, SUI may see that 195 level. So we'll talk about some support and resistance levels here too for some dollar cost average targets, but let's go ahead and start with kind of the obvious here. Solana, Bitcoin, SUI, all these coins that I like to cover, of all of them, SUI is outperforming them, right? So the whole point of me prefacing that is letting you know that we're still in an ascending bullish trend right now, and Bitcoin is too. So we don't want to go ahead and get too crazy with shorts. While I have a couple of shorts open right now, they're coins that are underperforming and they're responding very poorly to Bitcoin sell-off. SUI is still holding pretty strong in all things considered. You see this local high here working as a new low, like that's how it's supposed to work. So SUI is holding pretty well, and the reason why, we have a lot of volume. So in the overall sense, we want to pay attention to volume. If volume starts to kind of dry up, we'll probably see the price pull back down a little bit further, because that implies there's more selling pressure than buying pressure and that whole thing there. Either way, we're above all moving averages. Ascending trend's looking good. We can see we're over 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is kind of close, which isn't terrible, but I don't like that the MFI is below the RSI. That generally is a bearish type of divergence, at least in my personal opinion. It may be construed as a green dot or a red dot or some crap on some other indicators that have like 50 million different ways of validating trades, I guess. But in a simplest form, when MFI is below the RSI, that's usually a shift in momentum. It's a similar scenario to stochastic, which we can see is pulling back, and MACD is diverging too. So these are all signs here that there's been a shift in momentum, and it's pretty obvious the price topped out. It's pulling back, doing its normal thing. It's nothing to read into, though. Me personally, I don't see that being a cause for concern. We're honoring our ascending trend. To me, if I were to respect anything, it'd be support levels and trend lines first, and then indicators and oscillators. All right, so again, you should use everything kind of in tandem, but for the most part, the key factors here are present, and that's a good sign. However, here are some cracks in the glass in the 4-hour time frame to give you perspective. We're now under the 50-day SMA and the 20-day SMA. Keep in mind, the 20-day SMA usually runs concurrent with a descending trend or ascending trend in a bullish uptrend. So this kind of implies that we're tentatively bearish on SUI. Again, emphasis on tentative. Did I emphasize the right syllable on that one? I think I did. Anyways, the whole point of me talking about this is the simple fact that the 4-hour time frame is giving us some divergences here, kind of letting us know that we could see further downside. Now, when it comes to further downside, I think that's less likely because we have a pretty key level support here, this 0.618 fib at about 196 to 198. So the price does pull back to that level. We should see some support in that range. And that's just above the local liquidation levels too. So again, standard procedure for liquidation levels is the price will wick down into that range to destroy a lot of high leveraged trades, and then the price action will go back to where it's at. So we may even see a wick down to like 195 or 194. Just say Bitcoin makes a run for it, we could see 188 or potentially 175. Those are much more worst case scenarios. Again, don't hate the messenger here. I'm just simply telling you the facts, and these are areas of retracement, which are good to know for dollar cost average targets. So on the RSI here in the 4-hour, we saw a little blip above. That's that little fake out. Price pulled back, basically telling us we're still under that resistance range. Okay, so until SUI can close, in my personal opinion, above 217, I don't think it's worth really taking it long. Now, you could argue we're seeing higher lows. Yes, that's tentative for the moment, but being under this tentative or this shorter term trend line and the moving averages, that leads me to believe that SUI, while it should recover and it has proven to recover well in the past, I don't really think we're going to see a surge here soon, again, based on standard technical analysis. But SUI is somewhat of an exception there. And as you can see, like just other coins might have jumped by 2 or 3%. We saw like an 8.5% increase to test that resistance level. All right, so again, all good. And when we are looking here at the hourly, we want to confirm a couple things too. This is kind of a mess. Again, another reason not to really take a trade, because we're testing the lower lead on the cloud. That's basically working as a resistance. But the lagging span is within the price action. When you see that happen, that's usually a sign to close your position and to wait for better consideration on entry. That to me is just kind of a, hey, let's not worry about this. Let's not force a trade. Let's find a better opportunity. Me personally, I would like to see this descending trend line broken and closed above. In other words, it would look very much like this here, where the price breaks above the trend line, comes back down to retest the actual descending trend line itself and or key level support and pivots from there. So this area of 208 would be awesome after we've broken through it, not before. And I know. It seems really strange to buy a higher price point at a later date when you could buy it at a lower price now. Trust me, that's not how it works, okay? You'll learn in time after beating your head against the wall like I've done, but I've got 20 years experience, and I only throw that out there so you know that I've tried and erred the hell out of a lot of different strategies. And by now, the best strategy, honestly, is patience, and people have the most struggle with that. So it's not an easy thing to teach. I totally get that. I have some strategies in my trading university. If you want to watch those, of course, make sure you do if you're part of our community. But at this point here, patience is paramount. But either way you look at it, we are still mostly diverging. We're still below a lot of resistances here, and that is not a positive sign. Let's see what today's TPO looks like. We have the average price today here at 210. So people who bought the most amount at 210, so they're currently underwater. Really just implying that the bears are controlling today's price action, and we got to respect that and not trade into it. Again, that kind of reiterates and reaffirms that 208, 210 closure or higher before we have any confidence in taking a trade. Okay, so we got to break this short-term descending trend first before we have any legs to stand on. And again, I know what you're thinking. SUI is just going to recover. It's a beast. It's going to go to $3. It's going to go to $5. Some people are talking about $50 in the comments before end of year. I'm just going to take a breath and not worry about that. So if you are one of those, it's okay. It's all right to have positive hope and hopium or whatever they call it. But the truth is that's not going to happen. Okay, I'm just I'm okay with eating my words if it does too. And coins do really well. Don't get me wrong. This coin is doing half the value it is right now, not too long ago. But for that to continue, there's a lot of other things that need to be present, and we don't have those things just yet. And we need time to consolidate and average out before we see that next leg up. We have the volume. That's a good sign. We just got to continue to build that base. All right, we'll talk about that later. Thanks again so much for watching. Make sure you reference Bitunix too, folks. Again, awesome exchange, link down below for some really good deposit rewards. It's only available till the end of the month. I'm mentioning this strictly for my community because those are the ones who use this. You're eligible if you're a part of that, and just use my link to register if you're not. Future reference though, no KYC or VPN there. Phenomenal exchange. I look forward to working with you. I'll post our play out chart here shortly on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.